off the board meeting. Hello, welcome to everybody. Sorry, we had a couple of 3 o'clock legal conversations, so we're dragging right in here now. We're going to do a quick board meeting. We're going to go from 4 to 5:15, 5:15 to 6. We'll have welcome reception and everything, and then we have the town hall tonight at 6 p.m. Hopefully you'll all be present for that. We will start with the owner's comment period, and do we have any owner's comments?
We have this. We have that first. Is she here yet?
I don't see her, so.
I don't see her.
We'll move to the next meeting.
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry.
That's all right.
Almost. You're good, you're good. You just need to.
Does any owner want to make a comment? I'm just going to ask rather than wait for a sheet.
No?
Going once, going twice. Okay, no owner's comments. Verified meeting is properly noticed.
Yes, it was.
Verified that we have a quorum.
Yes, you do.
You ready to be here?
All right, Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Motion to adopt or we'll call the meeting to order. Motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
So, Rachel, we got Vanessa, and David is the second. Any comments on the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes.
PDF so I can see the.
Okay, approval of the minutes. Any comments on the minutes, or a motion to approve first?
So
Motion. Second.
Okay, so we got Jackson and Vanessa first. Any comments on the minutes? Call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. Committee reports. Any comments on the committee reports? Any comments at all? Okay, go ahead.
I want to just, for Artisan Park,
Yes.
if I could, are we on, are these mics on?
Everything is live.
There is a rumor that the CROA board is looking at putting a playground in the amphitheater at Artisan Park. That rumor is not true. The Artisan Park Committee has met. I have informed them of the discussion that we've had about the possibility of using the park across from the clubhouse, but there is no decision that's been made about a location or even a playground yet. We're still a long way away from that. And so I just want to use this moment in talking about that service area committee. The service area in Artisan Park has not even talked about the amphitheater. And so for those who are talking about that, I don't know where that information is coming from, and it's inaccurate. And at the point that we know what we're going to do, I have no doubt that we will share that with the community.
Well,
I was
go
going to
ahead.
say, can I even add a little more to it? The amphitheater area is probably not even an area we are looking at, which was the highlight, and that's because there's no bathrooms and there's no parking.
And it's sloping.
And it's, so there are, if indeed that was even a direction we want to go, that would not be the optimal site, so.
And another addendum is that in the next 2 hours, we'll be unveiling the results from the recent Community Facilities Master Plan, and we as a board have not yet discussed any of those results. So rumors are getting legs without foundation.
Well, we have not publicly discussed the results. The board has seen it.
Right.
And but today, David and Steve will be rolling it out at the town hall. I'll be following that up with a budget conversation.
Yeah.
The wish list and the budget are two different conversations entirely, and we'll be trying to actually put them a little bit together tonight so it makes some sense for the public. So at this point in time, yes, anything is premature about decisions being imminent, that's for darn sure. Other comments on the committee reports? We got Yellowstone here. Todd, how's everything looking with Yellowstone these days and everything else? We certainly know we have Spring Park conversations. There's a meeting next week as an example and stuff like that, but how are things looking?
Overall, things are looking pretty well. We've had some issues with some edging, some weeds here and there. We had a long discussion last week on the subject. They immediately responded to that and made the corrections that are brought to their attention. So I'm confident that they'll get that turned around real quick. Spring Lake, they've been working over there along the main wall along the boulevard that had some issues. They've corrected that quickly. So overall, things are looking good.
Okay.
Okay?
The last thing I will add then on the committee reports is last week's, on Saturday, the Halloween activities were canceled because of rain. This is not a CROA-sponsored event. JR and his team certainly worked with Lexington. We did not make the decision. Mike Nunez did call me and talk to me after they made the decision. It was made about safety. It was made about the fact that you can't throw an event of this size in 10 minutes. I mean, we got people out there like Debbie Jackson who do huge events and know how much time these things take to build up. There have been rumors that we should have moved the event to Town Hall. Well, moving the event to Town Hall would have been a literal impossibility, and I think we need to be aware of that. CCMC was prepared to do whatever it took, but at the end of the day, Mike made a decision about safety because he had to put people on ladders, people on scaffolding, tents.
There were two different events.
So Mike had Oktoberfest
Yeah.
going, and
We had ours.
our
Fall Fest.
Yes, true. But you still ran into the same issue
Correct.
all over the place, plus the band and the electricity and everything.
Well, ultimately, I mean, we were ready to go, but there was so much raindrops in such a short period of time, it flooded everything out. There was just no opportunity to put that many people on the Great Lawn with this much water that it took from that night before. And ironically, the rain stopped, and it was a beautiful day, at about the time the event would have been over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just even more than that, I think it's important to recognize, though, that management was in contact with a board member at all times, notifying us what the steps were. Even when we saw the tropical storm was heading our way, or the depression was heading our way, they were the ones, I didn't even know there was one coming. And you're like, just so you know, we might have bad weather, we're working on it. We will continue with our plans full steam ahead, all the way up until we determine it's just not a good thing to do anymore. The goal was always to, even if it was at, 11 o'clock or noon that day, to set up and, do what we can do. But it just was not in the weather and the cards, so to speak, so.
And we are part of the county's emergency operation communication chain. So whenever a tropical storm or depression, any type of weather systems are imminent, we're included in that communication. And it got to the point where it was coming with high winds and rain, and they notify us well in advance. So we started planning right when we got those notifications.
Yeah, I was going to raise this under your management report, but now that we're raising it here. I was disappointed, not with the decision, but with the fact that the event couldn't go forward. I was looking forward to what, like with many people gathering on the lawn, like many of us did was it the week before, JR, with the jazz thing? And then we'll be doing with a movie this Friday at a different location, and then next week with another musical thing. I mean, I wanted some multiple Kodak moments, if you will. But I just wanted to say a thank you to JR, a thank you to your team. I know that you set up a lot. I saw all the little, the awnings up that evening, all unattended. I know that was a lot of work, but while I was disappointed, I'm not upset. I'm upset with what happened that morning, and it kept happening and happening. But I appreciate this, appreciate all that you're doing. As we write with the article for the Celebration News, we knew that this fall was going to be overflowing with events, and I applaud the number of events that are growing and the diversity of the events. So I'm disappointed that that happened on Saturday, but it was out of your control, and you had to operate in the interest of health and safety and welfare for employees and then our guests. So next year.
And the whole area looked beautiful. I saw the landscape company out there all that whole week,
Yeah,
all
no, it was
prepping. It was
looking great.
it looked gorgeous.
It was
So thank
ready
you.
for a good event.
It was. It still is. It still looks great.
We had a bigger impact from that small tropical storm than we did from
The
rain
rain.
down on us.
Yeah.
So anyway, a few of us talked to JR before the meeting. It was an act of God, and we told him to put on a checklist next year to check with God.
That's right.
Work a little closer.
Okay. Liaison report, CCDD, Osceola County. Any comments to add or anything? All right, so financial review, Mr. Roberts.
Okay, short and sweet, I'm gonna give you the Atari version. And then
Atari.
Jackson would like to give the Windows 10 version, that was fine, but.
Really?
The operating fund revenues, less expenses, are above budget by 139,000. Operating cash, it's up there on the screen. Operating cash is strong at 1.3 million. Capital improvement fund cash is 0.3 million, down from 3.2, which was the amount on December 31st, 2018, and that's because of the athletic complex and the expenditures there. Pretty much. I don't know how much more you want to go into.
No, I
That's
think
it.
that's kind of fine. I will be leading a budget conversation in the follow-up meeting where we'll get more in-depth on those numbers there. Is Nikki out there? Come on
She's
up
right
if you
there.
don't mind. Tell us what's happening with the athletic fields just a little, now that we're another month down the road. Any issues, everything successful or anything we need to know?
As of right now, with the athletic complex, we're just working on. Good. Right now, we're working on the paint issues. So we have a spray paint right now. It takes up a lot of cans to actually paint the fields. So one field will actually take like almost 12 cans of paint. So that's what our team is realizing. We're trying to, in the process, switch to gallons of paint. So it'll be kind of a little bit cheaper as well. And we're looking right now for a striper for the fields. Right now we have like a portable striper for spray cans. We're looking for one that's like a battery operated striper. So
Any
that's
utilization issues at all? Everything's been working out well though with all the teams and
everything's going well. One issue is just the folks trying to put their equipment on the sidewalk still. So we're just in the process of continuing to monitor, make sure there's no tents, tables, or chairs on the sidewalk. So.
And Nikki, we're still looking at storage facility for things like
And that's.
nets and other equipment, right?
Yes. We're looking at maybe towards like the landscape or further back where the synthetic turf is.
And the reason for doing that is to move those things off the sidewalk when they're doing lawn maintenance or irrigation.
Correct.
right?
So right now we just have them on the sidewalk on Mondays and Thursdays. We've been working really closely with Jacob. So right when we come in at 8, he's already there. We're trying to push him off as soon as possible so it doesn't interfere with guests walking on the pedestrian walkway.
Jacob, our landscaper.
Correct. Yeah, landscaping company.
Any other questions for Nikki?
I just want to add also, the fields have been over a month now in use and pretty heavy usage, and they're holding up really well. The turf looks great, the natural turf, so Newby's doing a wonderful job with that also.
What kind of drainage did we get after that storm up there?
I'm sorry?
Drainage up there after the storm?
After the storm on Saturday, I believe it was Field 2 wasn't able to be utilized, the middle one, on Sunday's game, so they had to use Field 1 instead.
An artificial turf, is that draining one?
Yes, after the storm on Saturday, we had folks playing on it from 2 to 6.
Okay.
Mhm.
Literally
Yeah.
that afternoon.
Yes, correct.
How's that area around the shelter, if you will, when it does rain? Not the concession, the
Oh, the pavilion?
Pavilion.
The open
how's
pavilion?
that area?
As of right now, I haven't seen any issues with the drainage. Yeah.
How about
Mhm.
rentals? What's been happening there? I mean, I know we got the
What? I
normal
didn't
leagues,
hear
but
you say
other
rentals.
third-party
Rentals.
rentals or anything like that?
We had, it was, I want to say last weekend, we had a rental, or I'm sorry, 2 weekends ago, a rental that utilized all 3 fields. It was with the Celebration Soccer Club, and then we had a private rental on Saturday. So right now, it's just kind of creeping up just a little bit.
2 tournaments coming also.
Correct. One in December and then one in January. So.
I've heard nothing but great things about how beautiful the fields are and how well they play, so that's good.
Mhm.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Yep. No problem.
Thanks, Nikki.
Be prepared in the future, we may just call you up.
she's
Manager
thrilled.
report.
She was ready for it.
Management reports in the board packet that was posted online. The main items are going to be discussed in full detail at 6 o'clock, so we hope that everybody sticks around, grabs a cup of wine, and comes back for the 6 o'clock. We'll be reviewing the master plan and we'll be going over the budget for 2020. That's really all I have in the management report.
I don't know if wine's a good idea.
I think it's a very good idea.
Just
It all
saying.
depends.
Just saying.
For the board members.
Okay, action items. So, action item number 1, motion
Do
to
we
suspend.
wanna-
I'm sorry?
Would we like to have a consent agenda on these items?
No, let's bang through them.
Okay,
We got an hour.
okay, well.
Motion to suspend.
I see many people in the audience cheering
Yeah.
enthusiastically because this was the hour they'll never get back of their lives.
That's
so.
probably true, but the wine's not there till 5:15.
Well, they have to set up, we can help them set up.
Okay. Go ahead.
Motion to approve.
So motion to suspend voting rights of owners delinquent over 90 days with assessments, fines, or other
Second.
monetary blah, blah, blah.
Second.
Vanessa, and David is the second.
And do you mind if I comment? This is standard operating procedure every year prior
We have
to
to do it.
election season. This is an agenda item that's presented to you.
And this was actually raised during the charter work too, when Tom confirmed we had to do this, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
This is always on our agenda at this moment.
Okay. Comments from the board? Okay, call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. The reason I didn't want to consent some of these, so the second one was a license and subscription agreement with LTAS Technologies for short-term rental monitoring. And we had workshopped that, and Kevin, I know you had done some work on that. I think it'd be good to talk about that a little, so the public actually hears a little bit more.
Yeah, of course. Laura is,
Do we need a, did we have a motion?
Okay.
Did we do a motion on this or not? Was I sleeping through it?
Do you want to make a motion before we?
No, we haven't had a motion yet. You want to take the motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There you go. Now you
We'll
can go.
discuss.
Okay. Sorry.
like,
Sorry.
support?
Jackson?
Want me to start?
Yep, go ahead.
Laura seems to have a lot going on right now, and this is going to be something that's going to help her push the short-term rentals that are going on in the community by having a third party that concentrates on this. They will go ahead and search the area specific to Celebration, not outside of Celebration, which was a big reason why we were leaning towards this vendor. The other vendors would give us a general area, and we would capture Reunion and capture other areas that it is permitted, and then it would require her to go ahead and be weeding through them for Celebration addresses, and that would take her, again, more time than it is now, really. So it is a couple dollars more, but it does seem as though when you add how much time she will need to put into it and her team will need to put into it afterwards, it actually saves us money.
There's time savings, and if we do a better job of monitoring them and closing them down, our
It'll
clients
knock it out
will be
instantly.
efficient.
Yes.
Talk about it a little, to convert you comfortable and everything.
So this company is great. So far, they've been great to work with. Any questions, they're right on top of it. I was actually dealing with the vice president of the company, was the one that was dealing with me. It's a very simple computer-based system. They will keep all the records, so if something shows up 6 months again from down the road, it'll flag immediately that we've already gotten them, we need to get them again. It's pretty extensive, the amount of records they give to us or that have available to us, including every posting, the photos for every posting, every contact they have for the owners, all that type of stuff. So it seems like a very good company to work with, and they actually work with several counties, one of them being in Florida.
Manatee
So-
County, I believe, right?
Yeah, Manatee County.
So for the audience specifically, there have been a lot of people saying, why doesn't CROA do a better job of staying on top of short-term rentals and the uses and everything else going on? This is a piece of technology that really should allow us to be much more on top of that game.
Yeah.
So two clarification questions. One is, with this company, which is software-based,
It's
they're
both
getting,
software and people-based.
Okay, so that was
Yes.
my second, my
Okay,
second
yes.
question then was, if a homeowner or resident has a concern about a certain property, they can feed that?
So what happens,
To
it would,
someone?
it would be the same thing, they would let me know, but the way their system works is they do run, the standard reports and stuff on their end, but they do have people that double check this stuff before it even gets reported to me. So
So-
they do have a human element behind it that will check and confirm
res-
before it sends to
So
me.
if residents are concerned, they contact you?
Yep, still
Yeah,
contact
So
me.
my initial question was, with this contract, whether they have one potential violation or 100, it's the same price?
Correct, it's a monthly price, or we can pay them yearly, it's
Yeah, yeah,
however it's
well,
set up, but
monthly or
yes.
yearly
No,
price.
it's one fee, no matter how many there's
no matter how
reported.
many, okay.
They report to me 4 times a week. I get 4 different reports, one for weekdays, one for weekday evenings, one for weekend days, and one for weekend evenings. They run them those 4 times so that they're capturing anything that shows up. If people know when I'm in there, when I'm looking for stuff, they'll run it even when they know we're not in there, so they can capture anything that way as well.
Just as a side note, this is the second time I've been on the board, and this has always been a huge hot topic. How can we stop these short-term rentals? It's in our covenants, it's in our bylaws, our charter. How can we make this stop? When Vaughn was traveling to Asheville, he found the company and said, "Hey, let's see what we can find out here." So thank you, Vaughn, for looking out for us while you're out there, and for Kevin and Laura for continuing through. It
He
looks
was
like a
staying
great
at an
program.
Airbnb, by the way.
Those are details. Those are
short-term
details. Those are details.
Just saying, sorry.
So
Okay.
thank you.
Any other comments?
No.
Call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
Thank you for bringing that forward.
Yes, I'm excited to work with them, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, let's get away.
Motion to approve Jill Furlong and Patricia Delaney as 2 committee members for the Dog Park Committee.
Second,
Second,
any comments?
the only,
And I know Patty went to the most recent Dog Park Committee too, so I know she was there.
the only comment I have is with the 2 forms, I know we have tried to revise those, and it says, see, provide additional information with a written statement, and those written statements were not included as part of the board packet. So I assume there was a written statement that talks about their qualifications?
Yeah, it was in the package.
Hmm?
It was in the package.
No, in the packet, it has their application forms, but each form says the written statement attached to it.
I'll look into it.
Just, because that helps to say, here's my prior experience, here's why I want to be part of it. So, yeah, the 2 forms were there, which have been revised, but the attachments, which I assume were appended, which gives the rationale, other than their name and address.
Yep.
But I do know that Patty attended the most recent Dog Park Committee.
Good.
They both attended?
I don't know if Jill did, I do know that Patty did. Both of them did. Thank you.
Okay. Any other
And-
comment?
And it was recommended by the Dog Park Committee, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Item number 4 is removed. Item number 5 is to approve 1 roof repair at South Village Townhomes for $750.
So moved.
Second?
Second. Vanessa.
Any comments? This is a pretty normal item for us.
You really want to come up here and talk?
No.
Oh.
All right, call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Passes. Motion to appoint Jim Lovegren and Lois Lucy to the South Village Service Area Committee, as recommended by the committee.
Motion to approve?
Wait, were you approving 2 people?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's
There's a
been,
on the paper.
that's been updated.
That's right.
Okay, fine.
So
Motion
it's a
to
minimum-
approve.
Sec- Go ahead. Go
Kevin
ahead.
second.
Kevin second.
Kevin second. So David and Kevin.
No.
Any comments, questions?
Two comments. One, I'm glad to see this moving forward. Second, same issue with the form. It's like an adapted version of the old form that has days of the week. So take a look at the form.
Yes.
Just take a look at the form.
We created that and kind of manipulated it for
Yeah, so
the
take a look at-
particular
is-
adversary.
is
Okay,
days of the week, is that really important in an application? Because a small committee can work that out.
gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
That's all.
Right. So tangential to this, I would like to just, I think it's a good opportunity for you to explain that we're trying to set up these service area committees. but there is a process under the charter that we have to follow. And I know that there have been a couple of service areas that are informally putting together their service area committees. Could you just speak to what they have to do to formalize that?
Sure. So, for example, the next agenda item is an example of that. So, homeowners that want to get together and form a committee, of course, we're here to help you. Typically, if you contact management, then what we do is we put together the resolution that CROA's legal counsel has already created, and that goes before the board with overall universal committee goals and specific to your service area. That gets passed by the board, and then we set up a vote for the homeowners to approve. It's 51% of the service area owners to pass the committee, and then there'll be an election of the officers.
So, and I'll follow up on that, like when you look at our next item 6A, which is Oak Pond, that's formed a service area. We strongly encourage all the service areas to get a group. At that point in time, the service area committee really becomes in charge of your finances, really makes determinations about whether you want to replace a roof, whether you want to do gutters, whether you want to do painting. The board still has final oversight and voting type approval, but we're trying to have service areas really run themselves. And that is what we are strongly encouraging and keep preaching. And in the Oak Pond situation, when we actually went to the service area meeting, Vaughn and I were both there, and they kept complaining, and we said, form a service area. And finally, it was like, we're going to form a service area. And we're like, great idea. And, and now they're taking control of a lot of things, which is a great answer. Okay, so, we're ready for 6A? Did we vote on?
We didn't vote on
No.
6.
Okay, voting on 6. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. 6A, motion to approve the Oak Pond Town Home Service Area Committee resolution.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Jackson, second. Vanessa made. Okay. Brand new committee. They're gung-ho. They're forming. You're going to work with them to take care of it in the next month, all the P's and Q's that
Yes.
you just described.
Yes.
But I think it's a success.
Absolutely.
Any
And
comments?
it's one of
from-
the smaller ones too, so they'll have a much more, bigger impact because they're so small. I think it's
That's the right
awesome.
answer. Any comments from the board? Call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Done. Item 7, motion to approve to initiate the fining process for 40 non-compliance items. 29.
Motion to approve the 29.
Do we have the 29?
Yeah, they're on the separate sheet of paper that was provided, and it says 40, but it's all the deletions. It's
Just so that everybody's aware, the reason why this is last minute is because they go out today. And
Right.
they were reviewing everything.
Okay. Any comments?
No, this then goes to covenants.
Right. Any comments on these 29?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Motion to approve converting 9 fines to specific assessments.
motion to approve.
I'm going to abstain from this, pending information that I've requested.
Okay,
There doesn't seem to be full information on there.
okay,
Second on the motion?
okay. Any comments? Call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And 1 abstain. Okay, perfect, thanks. Last motion is a motion to approve 1 attorney recommended write-off totaling $10,017.18. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second? No, go ahead, Vaughn.
David is the second then. You, David,
That's
second?
fine, yeah.
Just for those of you who think $10,000 is a lot of money to be writing off, the answer is yes, you're right. But certain properties go into foreclosures, bankruptcies and everything, and judges and others set down the rules
Well, even
sometimes.
larger, this isn't real money, if you will.
It's a lot of fines.
Fine.
Yep, and,
It's money, but it's not money.
yep, no, I understand. And, but also,
Because it's a foreclosure.
so
it's
we
different.
have, we have a big receivable for a lot of assessments, and we also have a big collection for allowance for uncollectible, because we know this happens, so every once in a while it's good to repeat that. Any comments on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, we are flying today. We are doing good. Any board comments?
The comment is, this may be the fastest board meeting.
You beat
And
me.
my- and the
blew
only-
away
You
and my
beat
only-
me.
My only observation is that this is dovetailing a town hall meeting, so maybe there's some relationship there.
It'll probably be quite slow, less Emily.
Good job.
Other board member comments? All right, then, pardon? Item village update.
Oh,
Oh, on the original.
Oh,
the
sorry.
agenda.
Was it in there?
yeah, it was in the, yes, it
Sure.
was in the agenda. So
We're gonna, okay, I'll be
There it
happy
is,
to.
there it is.
Yeah.
I'll be happy, I didn't realize it was there.
We were all moving too quickly.
Was it there? Really?
It was, it really is there.
So
Okay.
close.
I will be happy to take Item Village. We're going to talk about Island Village more during the town hall, but what's happening with Island Village is they are actively proceeding. They've got Phase 1 now that is proceeding. The bridge is all but done. We've got the ad hoc group meeting again. They are planning on recording plats, starting with 51 of them in January, another 79 or so, maybe 109, I'm going from memory here, in March, and then another one in the fourth quarter. So their Phase 1 will be 279 units, sorry. And they hope to be doing sales by the middle of 2020 to late 2020. They will then start pulling or recording plats in early 2021 again. And for Phase 2, they've spent $16 million with TCC on buying Island 2, which is where Phases 2 and 3 will be. Vanessa and I actually met with Paige Pierce and everything about a week and a half ago. And so the monies have all moved. Which is why we believe it's happening. You know, they've spent the money now on Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 islands. The project is, based upon the timeline they've given me, going to play out between 2020 and 2026. Right now, the plan is for 979 homes, townhomes, and 300 apartments. Streetlights is still the apartments. Those should be ready middle to late 2021. They're still going to be very high-end apartments, different than anything we've got here in Celebration, but it is proceeding. The school itself was originally supposed to be a 2021 opening. That is now pushed off to, 2020 opening. That is now pushed off a year to 2021. The school is changing directions on the building and dealing with other issues that are state and school issues. But Mattamy is not waiting on any decision with the school to proceed themselves. They've started spending money and they're off and going. David who was at the last board meeting, is a Celebration resident, and he is the guy in Central Florida who's in charge of everything. They've got 10 different communities and he's in charge of them. So they're rolling. They will start having correspondence showing up in the Celebration magazine and probably some Friday Flash stuff and stuff like that. CROA is not endorsing them, but CROA is certainly wants to communicate. When they start paying association dues to CROA as part of the budget, and we'll talk about that later. So, and then as homes close, they'll pay an additional due for a year, like every title change, and we will get working capital proceeds from that. So now is the right time for us to be talking about them from that perspective.
I think the other thing is, at our workshop last Monday, Debbie came forward. They were having some issues in Spring Lake with flooding and with Duke Energy and power outages and some dangerous situations because of the power being in boxes underground, and those boxes flooded and became apparently a hazard. So I know David is going to meet, when they have their meetings with Mattamy, they're going to pass on this information to, about the problems that they have in Spring Lake with this, and to make sure, or at least try to make them aware that that problem exists in Spring Lake, and hopefully they remedy anything that may contribute to that problem over in Island Village as well. So
when the ad hoc group last met, we talked a lot about Spring Lake and lessons learned from there with flooding concerns. It creates, the wetness and everything has created a lot of landscaping issues and everything in Spring Lake, so we've tried to be very educational there.
Yeah, we set up this ad hoc group, what, a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
About that. The decisions for what goes in Spring Lake are really not ours. They are the developer, they're Mattamy.
Mattamy and
I mean, sorry,
TCC.
thank you, yeah, Spring Lake is done. Island Village, thank you. It's Mattamy, Celebration Company, and the county. And we've inserted ourselves to try to influence and try to affect them because we will inherit. We'll inherit some of the, well, a lot of the oversight there. And then we will inherit the structure that they're building with a pool and an amenity building with a workout room and other facilities. I don't know if we're talking about that later.
We can talk about it now a little.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing is they have heard us on the amenity conversation. It's probably going to be much on the order of Artisan Park. I mean, it'll be open to the public. It won't be private like Artisan Park. But with the playground, with the pool, with the clubhouse and everything, much like that is what they're thinking about there.
A small downtown, very small retail area.
And they're going to have a street that could be closed off, the same as Market Street down here, so that they could actually have events there, where if they wanted to have band or something like that, or stuff like that. So it's the same concept. I don't think they'll have nearly the same amount of restaurants. They've really talked more about a shopping type or a Sweet Escapes type restaurant.
What was it?
They're calling it a food hall.
Oh, okay.
Do you know if that street that you were just talking about, is that going to be under CROA?
Yes, that
They
will be
want-
under.
they
It won't
want
be
that-
county, right?
It will
So-
be.
They want
It'll
that to be
Canoa.
under Canoa,
Okay.
so that it can be locally controlled. And so we're sharing a lot of the lessons learned from Spring Lake to Island Village, and hopefully they are listening. There's a whole new leadership team, if you will, that we're working with. So Dave, that you mentioned, and two other colleagues, each of whom had a couple of weeks on the job when we met 2 weeks ago with them. So there's a new team there on the ground, at least in the, if you will, the public relations part.
Answer your questions or help?
I was looking for the agenda.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, thank you.
I apologize, I blew over it, but.
You just wanted to finish by 5:15.
He's trying to beat Vanessa's.
Trying to beat Vanessa.
Is there any other questions?
All right.
Dory, don't you have a question?
Any last,
Debbie, someone?
any last items?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 5:15, folks, so please stay around, enjoy yourselves, and town hall will start at 6. Thank you.
That's so efficient.
Does it feel good to be